Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Monday, November 3rd, 8 a.m. Hopefully, everybody had a great weekend and is ready for a pretty busy week here. Pretty busy week here. We're packing them in. They're packing in these Laker games here. So, thank you very much for being a part of the show. Really appreciate that. Cheers to everybody. Enjoying a nice cup of coffee, just black today. Listen, guys, on Monday, that's when we kind of roll up the sleeves here a little bit. We're not messing around. No, I don't want any cream in there, milk and the sugar. No, guys. Need a black coffee on Monday. Got a lot of freaking work to do. I appreciate you guys hanging out. We got a lot of good stuff to get into today. A lot of topics. Look at my topics here. I'm like cramming in all these topics. This is what happens on a Monday. That's what happens on a Monday. So I'm going to I'll give everyone a quick rundown of what we're going to be doing for the show. Obviously, if you guys got comments that you guys want to include in the show, always enjoy reading the comments. For me, it really does kind of add an element to the show. So feel free to put whatever comments you want in there. I'll do my best to try to get to them. And we'll get the show rolling. Okay, so first, real quick, let me give everyone a quick rundown. Lakers sweep the weekend. So they go 2-0 over the weekend. They got Memphis on Friday night that they won. I'll talk about Ja Morant a little bit later as well. And then they last night took on the Miami Heat. Maybe not the prettiest basketball we've ever seen, but got the job done. Lakers did what they needed to do. 5-2 on the season. 5-2. I'm going to ask listeners, and I'm also going to kind of do it myself here. Just 2 weeks in, what do we think so far? Got to be honest with everybody. I think there's definitely a little bit, at least for me, from my perspective. I'm excited about what this team's got the rest of the way. So we'll keep an eye on that. Jake LaRavia is completely coming out of his shell. Looks like a complete stud for the Lakers. For a player that the only time he was getting mentioned early on was, well, why don't we have Dorian Finney-Smith? And you're seeing what Jake LaRavia has been able to do, at least over this, stretch of games. I'll spend some time on Jake LaRavia. I think he's a great conversation to have and a great story so far early on in the season for the Lake Show. The reason why I have Andrew Wiggins there, just so you guys know, Lakers played Heat yesterday. Andrew Wiggins obviously was a name that was rumored a lot. I'm going to make a case as the show goes on. No trades for the Lakers. Just let's see what the hell they have. And I'm not telling you that they're not going to need to make a move down the road, but what I'm telling you is, can we just see what the Lakers exactly have? Can we give this thing a little bit of time? I mean, you got a couple of months before it's something you got to worry about, but just because they were about to play or they were playing the Heat and it was Andrew Wiggins, I'm kind of not interested in any of that stuff anymore. I'd really, really like to see what the Lakers have moving forward before I'm having a conversation about that. Lakers got a game tonight against the Blazers, so another second of back-to-back night. So that means morning show. That means a night show tonight. That means a morning show tomorrow. So we'll be cranking it out these next couple of days. Portland is a little bit of a headache for the Lakers. Already has been. They're not going to be playing a second of a back-to-back, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Will LeBron hurt the chemistry? I've been seeing some comments here and there of, I don't know, once LeBron comes back, he's going to screw this up, screw that up. All right, we'll have the chat about it. That's the whole point of why I do the show. Let's have a dialogue about it. We'll have a conversation about it. NBA news, got a few things around the NBA. I want to talk about Ja Morant on Friday deciding, you know what, sometimes you're going to get paid $37, $39 million, and maybe you don't want to show up for a second half because the coach said something you didn't like. We'll talk about Ja Morant, do the weekend recap. Yesterday when I was doing the post-game show, I had a lot of people that wanted me to talk World Series. I told them I'll talk World Series this morning. So we'll do that. We'll give that some proper time too. I got a couple of angles on the World Series. I'll look at it from a Jays perspective, look at it from a Dodger perspective. Dodgers obviously win. They win back-to-back World Series, something that hasn't been done since the Yankees did it in the late 90s. So late 90s, early 2000 when they three-peated. So we got a lot to get into. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. please subscribe to the channel. And also, take a quick second and have a sip of your coffee. You guys work hard. I mean, everybody on here, blue collar workers rolling up their sleeves and going to work on a Monday morning, have a sip of coffee. All right. I feel better. Let me look at a couple comments before we start here, and then we'll go. Let's see what we got here. Aiton, smart, LaRavia, big for us early in this young season. Would you re-sign anyone? Yeah, I'm gonna let the season play out, but I'm gonna tell you that every minute that Marcus Smart is on the floor for the Lakers, I haven't really complained about. I mean, maybe when he tried to lock arm Steph Curry in a UFC battle in game 1 of the regular season, I'm like, Marcus, what are you doing? But I think he's been great. Obviously, some of these players are playing for contracts. Jake LaRavia's case, he's not playing for a contract. He's on a 2-year deal with the Lakers. Only $12 million, by the way. All right, let me look at a couple more comments. Coffee sip reminder. I need this. Look, this lets me know that you care about my well-being, that you're not just here saying, Al, just talk sports and talk Lakers with me. Ocean Breeze, life expects us to make a reasonable amount of progress in a reasonable amount of time. That's why they make those second-grade chairs so small. I appreciate you, Ocean Breeze. Thank you, brother. There was another quote that was in here, too. I like throwing in some of these quotes. The inability to be exposed to failure will only make you allergic to success. That's a really good quote. Yeah, if you guys got, any quotes that you want to share with the rest of the crew here, I love reading those. Let's get the show started. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. So Lakers sweep the weekend. It's interesting because on Friday, we didn't know if Luka was going to play. So there was a little bit of kind of hesitation. All right, what's going to happen there? Is he going to end up playing? Is he not going to play? And I kind of, I said to myself, well, if Luka's out for these 2 road games, go 1-1, and you got to feel good about that. Well, they beat Minnesota, and then Luka comes back. They beat Memphis because Ja Morant decided, I'm good, guys. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it. Make sure that check's in the mail, but I'm not going to go ahead and show up in the second half. The Lakers obviously played good enough to win that game. Luka, another, 40-plus performance, whatever he did. And here you were now, last night coming back home, you got a shot against Miami to actually, within 2 weeks of the season, have one of the better records in the Western Conference. I mean, I think Oklahoma City is I think they just clinched home court throughout the playoffs. They're 7-0. Probably nobody's going to catch them. San Antonio's got the great start as well. They only got 1 loss. But if you don't look too far behind, the Lakers are 5-2. And, I don't need to break down last night's game per se. I think there's some individuals that I can break down. But I think overall for the Lakers so far, a lot of people got to be feeling a certain way about the style of the Lakers, the chemistry that it feels like they have, certain players stepping up. Not every night. I think that's the beauty when you have a good, well-rounded team. You can have on one night, your stars got to do what they got to do. But you can have on one night, let me throw some examples here. You could have Marcus Smart really shine in a game, and maybe he doesn't shine like he did the next game. You could have Rui Hachimura, you're like, oh my God, this guy looked amazing. And then in the next game, he could not be that great. You might have Ayton have a night. Didn't play last night, obviously. We'll see if he goes tonight. You could have Ayton have one of those evenings where you're like, man, DeAndre Ayton I felt his presence. He's grabbing boards, couple of block shots, ended up with 17, 18 points, 25 points, whatever it is. And then in a night like last night, Ayton doesn't play, and Jackson Hayes was phenomenal for the Lakers. I think for me, one of the things that stands out so far in the season, it doesn't have to be the same guys. And if you're a team that's trying to really, truly make some noise in the Western Conference, yes, you got to have kind of the consistency of certain players. But I have noticed in the post-game shows that I've been doing that there's been nights that I've talked about Marcus Smart, DeAndre Ayton, Jackson Hayes, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, Dalton Connect. It doesn't have to be the same guy. I thought Lakers, between Luka and Reeves yesterday, their shooting was off. I think they were 5 of 25 from the three-point line. The Lakers still put up 130 points. They had 21 assists between those two players. So I think what gives me some of the optimism that I'm seeing so far from the Lakers is it doesn't have to be one or two guys. You can have just a number of different role players that step up on a night in, night out basis. And that's a really, really encouraging sign because role players are role players. They're not expected to deliver every single night. And I think the fact that the Lakers got a few different players that are delivering on a night in, night out basis is obviously a really great sign. I mentioned the standings, so third best record in the West. Let's also not forget this. It's not like the Lakers have been perfectly healthy and all their guys are available. Let me list out all the players that have missed time so far this year. DeAndre Ayton, Jackson Hayes, Gabe Vincent, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Adu Thero, Marcus Smart. I know I'm missing at least one other player. Maxi Kleba. There's 8 or 9 guys that have been in and out of the lineup or haven't played at all. So it's another thing too to say, well, the Lakers got all their guys. The schedule's been easy, this, that, whatever the case is. No, they've already had to kind of mix and match here. And, obviously I think that's encouraging because you just have to imagine as they get healthier, as they get more players that eventually come back, well, it should only add to what they have, not subtract from what they have. One of my favorite, I want to play this for everybody here real quick. One of my favorite things from last night, and I'm about to give a little bit of credit here. Not too much, but we're going to throw some credit. I thought this was one of the funniest things that I saw last night. And I don't think there was a Laker fan while I was doing the post-game show that had any problem with it. I've never heard so many F-bombs in such a short period of time. Watch J.J. Redick during the game yesterday.
Turned into quite a shootout, isn't it?
Yeah, and Lakers with 13 threes. Lob underneath, no defense. Nothing there. J.J. Redick, man, is he hopping mad. He is angry.
Got to communicate on the defensive end. If you don't, you give up baskets just like that.
I don't know why. I just love that clip. I watched that clip 38 times this morning. He lost it. The guy hallucinated. Okay. This will be the final thing that I say about yesterday's game, or at least from a team perspective. And then I want to talk about Jake LaRavia. Why do I love that so much? The guy hallucinates. He can't control himself. What the F are you doing? I mean, he's shouting at Austin Reeves. LaRavia's coming off the floor. I'm trying to think of everybody that was there. He's 3 feet from them. They can hear you. He just can't control himself. But I think the thing I liked about him most is they came out of that timeout. Momentum shifted again. Think about who you got on the other side there. You got the best coach, arguably the best coach in the NBA on the other side, Eric Spoelstra. You got one of the best run organizations in the NBA in the Miami Heat. Now, they're not healthy either, so no Norman Powell, no Tyler Hero yesterday. But I think there are people that have a perception of J.J. Redick of what happened in the playoffs. And he did not coach well in the playoffs. He was outcoached by Chris Finch. But I just want to continue to remind people. In his first season as the head coach of the Lakers, he won 50 games, third in the West. Does not make excuses. Doesn't care who's on the floor. Just doesn't make excuses. And is asking something from his players, whether they're fully healthy or they're not, that's very consistent all the way through. Okay, maybe we're going to miss shots. Maybe our three-pointers aren't going to fall. Maybe we're just having a bad night. Maybe tired legs. I don't know. Make any excuse that you want. But one thing that he does not tolerate is effort. And he was ticked off last night because of the Lakers' lack of effort. Guys getting in the paint. Jaime Jaquez Jr. dropping 30+. Other guys playing a little bully ball. Calls timeout, absolutely lose it, and the Lakers respond. So The 5-2 start also has a lot to do with your head coach. And I think JJ Redick has done a really, really nice job to start the season. And I really don't have any reason to believe that JJ Redick will not have the same type of success that he had in his first season. Does he need to figure some stuff out in the postseason? Of course. Is the playoffs really going to be where you're judged? Which is why I think a lot of people are critical on Austin Reeves right now, which is why we were so critical on D'Angelo Russell back in the day. Of course, and that's fair. Everybody's going to, you could have the best regular season ever. But if the playoffs are, you struggle in the playoffs, that's all people are going to remember. But I do think JJ Redick, who's got the Lakers now 5-2, has a lot to obviously do with that. Might have to sneeze here. Got that mute button in. Got that mute button. I do think the 5-2 start is a lot of this also has to do with coaching, and his style I'm a fan of. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me. Got that muted a couple times. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments before we get into Jake LaRavia. But, it's funny. Last night, thank you, guys. Thank you. It's not easy being me sometimes. It's not easy. Sometimes you got to just do it at the moment. And I appreciate that the people out there are saying, Al, I hope you're okay. Slee, did you get back spasms? Are you questionable for tonight's post-game show after the Lakers take on the Blazers? Those are all fair questions. And I cannot answer that right now. I'm going to go through my agent, and we're going to go through the proper channels. Okay? All right, let's get another one here. JJ woke them up. I couldn't stop laughing at that. I really couldn't stop laughing at JJ Redick's clip. JJ woke them up. They were playing lazy. Jake immediately got that dunk after. Yeah, and by the way, was it Jake? I think it might have been. They got a couple of stops. You guys are freaking comedians in here. I think they got that stop, if I'm right. And then that's when AR threw it up to Jake LaRavia for a lob. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's get some more of these comments in here. A lot of bless yous out there. You see the world, it's a lot of people we don't give people enough credit these days. They care. Let's be honest. JJ is young as F. He is very, very young and also inexperienced. But I think you got the bones of somebody that you're like, yeah, I think this guy's going to be okay. He's going to be in the league for a while. I think that part we could safely say it feels like he's going to be here for a while. All right, let's see what else. Here's another one. Love it. Looking forward to a very great season. That yelling won't work on certain players. That's actually a great test as well. If you have the respect of the players, they don't really care what you say. Are you trying to send a message? Cool, we got the message. Whether you throw 39 F-bombs out there or, you're patient with the guys. Either way, if they got your respect, they're going to listen. All right, I want to move on. I want to talk Jake LaRavia here real quick. All right, let's I'm kind of burying the lead here. Burying the lead in regards to Jake LaRavia. What a stud. What a complete stud. I'm going to give you guys his numbers. I had it up here. Let me just get it back up. Jake LaRavia in his last 3 games. I'm going to remind everybody the conversations that we've had about Jake LaRavia. And guys, it's just 3 games. So, anybody that says, don't get too excited about 3 games. You're right. I'm not, I don't think there's actually a couple of games, and there's things that I like that he's kind of trending towards that I'll tell you about. So real quick, here's how Jake LaRavia has been associated with the Lakers. The way I described him when the Lakers signed him in the offseason, I said the Lakers went cheaper and they went younger. And whether that's the right move or not, we don't know. We're going to have to wait, see what the first half season looks like before we could start making some determinations on Jake LaRavia. I do know what they gave up because he was a more established player in Dorian Finney-Smith. I think it was very fair in the offseason to say, well, why didn't you guys keep Dorian Finney-Smith? Now, DFS's contract, it's a little interesting with Houston. It doesn't sound like 4 years are guaranteed. 2 might be only guaranteed. I would not have given Dorian Finney-Smith a 4-year deal. I'd have given DFS a 2-year deal. I think that's reasonable. I like what he brings to the table. I like his style. I like he has assets to his game that I think are advantageous, especially come playoff time. He's got experience. He's got a relationship with Luka. Season starts, and a lot of people are talking about Jake LaRavia, and they're like, Al, I don't know. I mean, should we have kept DFS? Should we not have? Let me give you some stats here for Jake LaRavia so far this year. And again, there are certain stats that probably mean more to me than others. Okay. Since a week ago, remember Lakers were on the road. They played the Sacramento Kings. Let me give you just his rebounding stats over the course of the last week. 6 rebounds against the Kings, 6 rebounds against the Blazers, 8 rebounds against the Timberwolves, 5 rebounds against the Grizzlies, 8 rebounds against the Miami Heat. Those 5 games that I just mentioned might be Rui's total for the year. Okay? Yes. Shots fired at Rui Hachimura, who can't grab a rebound if his life depended on it. Okay? But right out the gate, I'm not even telling you points. I'm not telling you how he's shooting from the field, his ridiculous percentages from the field over these last 3 games. I'm talking about a role player that can you find ways to contribute? Any way to contribute. Okay, like I said, last 5 games, 6 rebounds, 6 rebounds, 8 rebounds, 5 rebounds, 8 rebounds. That's a man that's saying, all right, well, if I'm going to be on the floor, I got to do something, whether my shot's falling or it's not falling. All right, let me give you his assists these last few games or so. He had 5, I'll highlight a couple. He had a game with 5 assists, another game with 5 assists, another game with 3 assists, and then a couple of games with 2 assists. All right, moving the ball a little bit. He's got 7 steals in his last 2 games. Again, I have not yet talked about what he's doing offensively as far as putting the ball in the bucket. He has 7 steals in his last 2 games. Right out the gate, if you just told me this is what Jake LaRavia is doing when he's out on the floor, I would tell you, all right, seems like a productive role player that's just trying to find a way, how can I help? All right, now let's look at what he's done offensively in the last 3 games. He's got a 27, a 13, and a 15. I'm sorry, a 27, a 13, and a 25. 2 of his last 3 games, he's put up a 27-point and a 25-point performance. One of those was without Luka Doncic. One of those was with Luka Doncic. As in, Luka didn't just come back with Austin Reeves and then Jake LaRavia is he's nowhere to be found. Last night, Luka was on the floor. He still gave you 25 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 steals. There was a great quote after the game, and Jake LaRavia was talking about how, the moment that Anthony Edwards like, who's number 12, who's number 12, and he hit a couple of buckets and looked back at the Minnesota bench, he's like, I don't know who he is. I don't know who number 12 is. Comfortable in his own skin, making a joke out of whatever predicament or situation. Confident in his game. Jake LaRavia, I mean, if I told you guys, give me some of the storylines to start the season, Jake LaRavia is a big part of that storyline. His shooting percentage. The game against Minnesota, he went 10 of 11 from the field. All right, I know that's not going to happen all the time. Hit 5 threes, 6 attempts. Game against Memphis, 5 of 8 from the field. Game last night, 10 of 13 from the field. Not a crazy high-volume shooter, rhythm shooter, just understands the game. You know what it tells me when a guy has a stat line, a little bit of rebounds, couple assists here and there, couple steals here and there, and then hitting the shots. He's just a basketball player. Yeah, I get the game of basketball. I understand how the game is played. He's been really, really fun to watch to start the season. I'm sure a lot of people now today, and the whole who's number 12, I'm sure there were Laker fans that were asking the same question. Maybe not people on this channel, because if you're tuning into this show, you're probably a big NBA, a big Laker fan, and you know who Jake LaRavia is. But we also didn't watch Jake LaRavia in every game when he was in Memphis or Sacramento. So I think there is a little bit of learning. How is he going to fit in here? Is there too much redundancy? Is there too much offense? Been fun to watch this guy play so far. And again, the reason why I like going into the rebounding and the assists and a couple of steals here and there, you want to be an all-around player. And, I think for him so far, he's got to be feeling really good about himself. And he doesn't look surprised or shocked or any of that stuff. I mean, he's 13-5 a game right now, and that's with some, really low-scoring performances to start the season through the first 4 games or so. So got to be excited about Jake LaRavia. And like I said, the conversation about him initially was more about Dorian Finney-Smith. And now the conversation is changing a little bit to Jake LaRavia kind of having his own identity. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Jake the Snake, I love that right there. Yeah, I've been seeing that a little bit more lately. Do people know who Jake the Snake is? Like, are people that OG in the WWE at the time, WWF, where they know who Jake the Snake is? I don't know. There's probably some youngins in here. 25-year-olds in here. They're like, oh, who's he talking about? Go look Jake the Snake up, all right? Go look him up. All right, let's get another one here. Little improvement on defense, and we have a prime Klay Thompson in LaRavia, fellows. Let's go. Listen, Klay Thompson, one of the best two-way players to play the game, one of the best shooters in the history of the NBA. Obviously, that's a very, very high bar to set. But just to even have a conversation about, hey, it reminds me of this or reminds me of that, that's obviously positive. Very, very positive. The Jake 3 game run is critical moment because the moment he got that opportunity, game 3 run, got you. It's a taste of potential that he will not unlearn. He now has a standard to aspire and to surpass. Can I tell you guys something? Which this has been kind of interesting. There's a moment in the game last night, and Jake LaRavia's in, and Dalton Connect's in. And they're kind of staggered. They're playing those guys together, as they go kind of to that second unit, spaces the floor a little bit. And even Dalton Connect, I know I'm not going to talk much about him tonight or today, and that's fine. I mean, no big deal. But even Connect's minutes, I'm like, he's fine. Yeah, leave him out there. Leave him out there. So those two have kind of had some opportunities together. Let's see. DFS hasn't even played this year. I guess that ankle really was an issue. Give us DFS that. Guys, if I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a fan of Dorian Finney-Smith. I like his game. I really do. I like his game. I loved that trade when they made it for D'Angelo Russell. I even, I offered if I could drive D'Lo to the airport. I offered. I said, guys, listen, no charge here. I mean, I'm happy to meet D'Lo wherever he is. However long that drive is going to be, how inconvenient it is to get to LAX, I'm all in. I offered my services to the whole Laker organization. I'll fill up the tank. I'm not even going to put this on my taxes as a tax write-off. This is just pure out of my heart, out of my soul. I was a fan of DFS. So I got nothing against DFS. And he did get paid. He got some money in Houston, and he'll probably be a good fit when he's healthy there. I don't question that. And I think he'll definitely be a player that is important for the Rockets come playoff time. I mean, D'Angelo can sit in the front seat. I offered everything. I had bottles of water there. I had gum. My thought was, D'Lo, what kind of gum would you like? And I had different types of gum, whatever I can do to help. Didn't D'Lo just drop like 35 couple games ago? I think he did. All right. So people know who Jake the Snake is. I feel better. I feel a little better. Okay, let's keep rolling here. Let me keep rolling here on a couple other topics. So yesterday, and again, I just wanted to kind of really go out of my way and highlight Jake LaRavia because he deserves what he's been doing. Let me mention something real quick, and then we're off that Heat game. Andrew Wiggins played yesterday, obviously for the Miami Heat. You guys remember in the offseason, we're having a lot of conversations about Andrew Wiggins and should the Lakers make a deal for him. I'm always weary to make moves with good organizations. I always feel like I'm going to get screwed. Okay. Does it? And not that it happens every time, but if you made a trade with the Miami Heat or the San Antonio Spurs or the Oklahoma City Thunder, are you not going to sleep at night saying, did I make the right move? I want to do deals with the Wizards. I want to make moves with Charlotte. I want to make moves with the Sacramento Kings. And I'm not even trying to throw shade at any of those organizations, but I'm looking for organizations that I don't feel like know what they're doing. Initially, when the trade chatter started with Andrew Wiggins and the Heat, I'm like, I don't trust the Heat. They know what they're doing. Watching Andrew Wiggins play yesterday, listen, the guy's got a role. He is a champion. He won a championship with the Golden State Warriors, a good veteran, a two-way player, a really, really nice defender. With all that in mind, one of the things that also dawned on me yesterday when I'm watching the game, eventually got to the post-game show, I'm like, you know what? No, I don't want to have any trade conversations. We've had some of that chatter about Reeves, but even the role players right now, I'm waiting. I don't want Andrew Wiggins. I want to see what the Lakers look like when LeBron comes back. Give me another 30 days after that. So let's just pretend LeBron came back November 15th. Give me till January 1st to tell you, yeah, Rui's got to go. Or yeah, get Connect in this deal. Put Gabe Vincent in the deal. I mean, I know I'm just naming off players. Not that these players, are really long-term. I mean, of all the players I mentioned, Rui obviously has got the most value of those guys, and he's on an expiring contract. And Dalton Connect has value because he's so young. He's a shooter if he gets on the right team. But even right now, I think he's helping himself a little bit over these last couple of games. I think he's got to be feeling a little bit better about himself, his current situation, and everything else. But the one thing I will say about Andrew Wiggins, and I'll kind of leave it at that, I don't think the Lakers should be looking to make a move right now. I do think the Lakers are kind of in a unique position where they got a number of different players that are contributing. And nobody's going to make a move anyways on November 3rd. But the whole Wiggins conversation that was there, I'm good on that. I'd rather sit back, wait and see. And then, where we are by January 1st, I think we'll all have a much better idea of what the Lakers need and what players should be around and what players should not be around. All right, got to give a shout out here. Thank you very much to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. If you are in a serious injury, a wrongful death case, intimidating, daunting situation, you don't know where to start, you need the best of the best. You need the best of the best. And that individual is Brad Wallace, and that law firm is the Wallace firm. He can help anybody in the state of California. This is all I want to reiterate. If you're in a position or a family member is in a position or a friend, something like that, just guide them towards Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm and let him at least just mentor you of what to do. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa is the website. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. Once you get to that website, a free consultation, and they'll do everything they can to help you. He is a proud partner of the channel. He is definitely a proud Laker fan, and he will certainly point you in the right direction. If he can't specifically help you, he'll get you in the right direction. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa, and I appreciate you guys supporting our partners. All right, let's take a look at a couple comments, and then we'll go from there. Thanks, Nick. Cheers, Nick. Nick, I'm also going to just get mix in a little water there too. We got to hydrate. Hydrate at the same time. Oh, this is going to take me right into my next point. By the way, thank you for shouting out our partner. Appreciate that. All right, this gets, imagine LeBron would be out for the whole season. Could be an amazing season for the Lake Show. Okay. It's interesting that this is the comment that comes up when I have one of my topics right here. Will LeBron hurt the chemistry? I'm going to flip this a little bit. Let me do Lakers Blazers a little bit later. Let me get into this LeBron topic because I think it's a good topic. We can, Lakers Blazers, they're playing tonight at 7. Okay. I mean, how much of a preview do you need? But I'll do that here in a second. So I have seen some chatter out there about LeBron, and I've seen some chatter out there about will LeBron ruin the chemistry? Here's one of the things, and I'll share it with you guys. This is the only thing that bothers me most about the Bron conversation. I'm going to play something for you guys. And all right, let me find this. I'm going to play something for you guys here real quick. And this is Shams. This is Shams, who was on Flagrant 2. He was on one of the podcasts out there, and they're talking about LeBron. This is the only thing that kind of gets me on LeBron conversations, okay? And some of this LeBron cannot control, but I'm going to play this for you, okay? So this is Shams having the conversation and on the Flagrant 2 podcast. Take a quick listen, and then we'll react to it.
Trey didn't extend his contract. He can hit free agency potentially if he opts out.
Where do you think Trey's going?
I mean, he could stay in Atlanta, but he's going to have a market.
Next.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about Trey Young here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Giannis, Trey Young, and then as the season goes on, there's always guys that'll pop up. And we still don't know where LeBron James is going to be. Is he going to finish his career with the Lakers, or is he going to be somewhere else? I think it's very much up in the
You
air.
think he would change teams?
I mean, I think that I'm not sure that he knows exactly how the end is going to play out. Could it be with the Lakers? Sure. But he's a free agent at the end of the season. So if he's going to continue to play, there's clearly a chance he's somewhere else.
Okay. That's Flagrant 2 podcast right there. So this is the only chatter that, annoys me about the LeBron conversation. The only chatter that annoys me about the LeBron conversation is when there's conversations out there that have nothing to do with this season, or, reports when it's like, will LeBron want to go play somewhere else and want to get traded at the trade deadline, all that stuff. The reason why I don't like those chatter in that conversation is because it's nothing that is helpful to this season. And by the way, LeBron cannot control this. You can't control this, right? We had that Hennessy VSOP. Remember that announcement was coming, and there were a lot of people that thought initially, is LeBron announcing his retirement? No, it's just another partnership. That was it. Only thing I don't like is distractions that kind of take away from this upcoming season. I mean, good for topics, but, obviously distractions of, is that a distraction? Is it not? Whatever the case is. So Sham's saying, we don't know what LeBron's going to do at the end of this season. Okay, well, LeBron cannot control, because he probably doesn't know what he's going to do at the end of the season. Well, what about what LeBron can control? Here's what LeBron can control. LeBron can control that whenever he comes back from the sciatica issue that he's having, there's a good chance Lakers will be, certainly above 500 and playing decent enough basketball. I mean, think about this for a quick second. You got $52 million going to a player that your team is still playing well without him. And I think there is some chemistry that's being built amongst some of the players. I've said this before too. I don't think it's a bad thing that LeBron's not. Why would LeBron care about playing 70 games this year? There's no point in that. All you want LeBron for is he healthy for the playoff run? I mean, that's really what you're asking for. If LeBron plays 50 games, I think you're like, yes, sounds good. It's his 23rd season in the NBA. The question of, and I'll throw this out to people, and I'll read some of your comments. Is there any concern that when LeBron returns, he messes with the chemistry of the team? That maybe they're not as good? That he's such a monstrous individual as far as his presence and his time in the league and one of the greatest to ever do it. Does he come back to the Lakers, which it still feels like the soonest he would come back is probably mid-November, so he ends up missing about 15 games, 16 games. We'll see. Maybe he comes back a little bit earlier. does it mess with the team at all? I've seen that start being a conversation more and more. I'm going to give you my perspective on it and what I think. And then you guys can obviously share whatever you want from there. My concern is not, will LeBron mess with the chemistry? My concern is, what does LeBron look like when he comes back? Is he healthy? What is he in year 23? Do I just assume he's the same player that he's always been? Or, what percentage of the player was he from last season? Is he 80% of what he was last year? Is he 90%? Is he 50%? I don't know. But I don't have, I think, the same question that other people have, which is, well, he's going to screw up the chemistry of this team. Why is he going to screw up the chemistry of this team? What makes you think that he's going to screw up the chemistry of this team? Was it not LeBron last season that when the Luka trade went down, all the people were saying is like, okay, well, how is this going to work? There's only one ball, this, that. Did you guys see the role LeBron played for the Lakers? He took a step back. He let Luka run it. Guys, let's make sure that we're all on the same page in this. This is Luka's team. Everybody knows that. I mean, Reeves was having historical numbers the moment Luka came back. It was like, that's awesome. That was really cool. Why don't you go ahead and play off ball because everything runs through me. It's going to be the same thing that happens when LeBron comes back. For me, I don't think LeBron, in playing with Luka last year, was putting out his chest and saying, this is my team. I don't think LeBron was, when playing with Luka, saying that everything's got to run through me. I think LeBron adjusted. I don't think he was selfish. I don't think he was taking too many shots. I think he just kind of made sure to fit in because that was the best chance that the Lakers had of potentially making any noise in the playoffs. Now, it didn't work out. Times LeBron had to play 5. Yes, I understand LeBron's not the same defensive player he was back in 2016 or 2017 or anything along those lines. My concern is not, will LeBron be able to fit in? It's LeBron freaking James. My concern is more, is he healthy? So I know that's been a conversation that's been going on. Like I said, some of the distractions that happen and what's LeBron going to do next year? And is he going to ask to get traded? And will the Lakers buy him out? Those are the only things that kind of come up that I'm like, yeah, I got no interest in that stuff. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. What happens next season, just worry about it when the season ends. But that's not how, obviously, life works and media works. I mean, we're all kind of jumping to conclusion on things. Let me take a look at some of the comments. But I don't have, I'm gonna emphasize it again. I don't have an issue with LeBron coming back. If the Lakers, the furthest the Lakers can go is a roster that has LeBron on it. So if you think the Lakers are better off without LeBron, you can make the case for next year. You could say, hey, Al, I don't want that $52 million going to LeBron. Got it. Makes sense to me. But not this season. This season with this team, they have to have LeBron. And I'm talking about do you want LeBron in a playoff series against Denver or do you not? Of course you want LeBron there. Do you want LeBron in a playoff series against the Thunder? Of course you do. So we'll take a look at some of the comments here. All right, let's see what we have our people saying. LeBron is useless in the fourth. Listen, my job, I'm not even going to sit here and try to argue with everybody. I'm just going to read the comments. Let me get the response of how people feel. What is their response to kind of some of the case that I was making? Let's see what we got here. LeBron will be effective when the game slows down. Okay. This season, the team needs LeBron. I guess that's probably my strongest point that I'm trying to make. If you want to tell me, if you want to talk next year, whole different conversation. If you want to talk about, hey, do you want LeBron for another year for his 24th season? I'm good this year. I think this year, if this is it, and I do think that it's not a coincidence that he didn't get another 1+1, and maybe that 1+1 is because he didn't want it, or maybe that 1+1 is because the Lakers didn't want it. We can leave that for another debate. But for this season, for me, I think what Omaris is saying is the most accurate. This season, this team needs LeBron. Let's keep going here. I'm down to trade LeBron. Just trade him to the Spurs. Bronny, LeBron for Johnson. And money equals out deal. Tell you which team's not going to trade for LeBron. It's the San Antonio Spurs. That's an interesting comment. LaRavia is everything we wanted Kuzma to be. It's interesting. All right, let's get another one in here. Again, I'm just trying to get some reaction here on LeBron stuff. As in your reaction, I want to read it. LeBron is hard to play with. Too much bad body language. Too much drama surrounds him. I've seen enough. Package Bron and Bronny. Bronny had a good game yesterday. He was a little bit too unselfish in the playoffs. Guys, how are you going to trade LeBron? People that say, trade LeBron. Does somebody want to put together a package to bring $52 million back, and why another team would trade for LeBron when they're going to lose a lot of the assets that they have in order to do it for a man that's 23rd year in the NBA? All right, let's get a couple more in these here. LeBron has an ego, but I'm not going to say he'll kill the team. Assuming he's healthy, LeBron will fit in as and where needed. It's that simple. John, I lean with you on this. LeBron will fill in. Okay, good. All right, we got some positive momentum towards the conversation. I lean towards this as well. I do think at the end of the day, when the dust settles, you got to have LeBron healthy and on this team. Period. Period. And if you want to make the conversation for a year from now or next season, that's a separate conversation, and I'm all ears on that conversation. But for this season, I think you got to have him in there. All right? Obviously, I think you got to have him in there. Assuming he's healthy, LeBron will fit as when needed. Okay, so we already got to that one. All right, let's here's a LeBron will be solid. No problem with LeBron. If he was extended, he'd be on the floor playing right now. This is another good one. LeBron can be the ultimate Swiss Army knife. I think people sometimes have a difficult time. They want to mix LeBron with everything else that comes with LeBron, and it takes away from what he brings on the floor. And I think people have a difficult time just accepting what's on the basketball floor with LeBron. So is what it is. It happens. It's not the first time it'll happen. It'll probably happen again. All right. Appreciate you guys chiming in with some of those comments. Let's keep rolling here. I still got Lakers, Blazers tonight. I got some NBA news that I want to get into. And we got the weekend recap with the World Series in mind as well that we'll get a chance to talk to. So I will get into that as well. Just kind of to have this information, Lakers, Blazers tonight, 7 p.m. tip-off. I'll be doing the post-game show. So a 5-2 team versus a 4-2 team. I got to give the Portland Trail Blazers a ton of credit. Because the fact that the Blazers were dealing with the situation they had, they lose the first game of the year against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And then they have their head coach in a gambling ring. And then Thiago Splitter's got to come in starting in game 2 of the regular season. And they got a lot of youngsters. They got some veterans too, right? Drew Holiday is there and Jeremy Grant is there. And they got some other guys, some nice guys too. They play good defense. I was enjoying watching their style of play against the Lakers, even though it cost the Lakers a W. When I say I enjoyed their style, okay, what type of team are they? They're picking up full court. They're playing hard on the defensive side. Blazers are 4-2. So Lakers played them, what was it, a week ago, and they lost 122-108 at home. Now, Luka didn't play in that game. So I'm going to assume Luka's playing tonight, and I'm going to assume that Lakers will be looking for a little bit of payback, but this is not going to be an easy game tonight. I would not be surprised if Lakers took an L. It's the second of a back-to-back. They had to travel last night after the game, and Portland Trailblazers have been chilling, I think, since Friday. Their last game that Portland played, a 2-point win against Denver. And Denver had everybody. So they beat the Nuggets. And then they've been resting now for a couple of days. And they got the Lakers coming. So be a tough one tonight. Let's see what they do. I'd be really impressed if Lakers can win this second of a back-to-back and go up to Portland to handle business. But should be a fun game. So I'm looking forward to that. And like I said, I'll be doing the post-game show tonight as well. All right, let's get into a little bit of NBA news real quick. You know what I hate? I hate a player that I used to really enjoy watching, and now I feel like that player is just giving me every reason not to enjoy watching him anymore. Ja Morant against the Lakers on Friday. Right when I got into the post-game show, I said something to the effect, Ja Morant only had 8 points. I said something to the effect of like, something's wrong with Ja Morant. Why is he passing the ball to all these guys that are 50% the talent of what he is? After the game, Ja Morant said this: according to the coaching staff, probably don't play me honestly. That's basically what the message was. It's cool. He went 3 of 14 from the field. I just got a quick thing on Ja Morant that I want to say. Ja Morant also told the reporters, go ask the coaching staff, talking about, I think he's career low in minutes played so far this year, 28 and a half minutes, something along those lines. So here's Ja Morant now as we sit here over these last couple of years, unfortunately. He used to be a player that I think a lot of people enjoyed watching. He was a highlight reel. Go YouTube Ja Morant. Go see some of his highlights. I know you've probably already seen, but some of the best highlights you can see in the NBA from an individual player. Just unbelievable getting to the basket, relentless, some beautiful dunks, finger rolls, all that stuff. Here's Ja Morant today, bitching and complaining about something. I don't even know if the coaching staff's fault. I don't know, but I know this. I know they fired Taylor Jenkins towards the end of last season. They're trying to accommodate their superstar, and their superstar is completely, I think, churning away NBA and basketball fans that used to love his game. And now it's like, wait, what are we talking about? Ja Morant was suspended for a game. He was suspended in yesterday's game. You had all that BS that was going on social media where he was fined and he was suspended and all that other stuff that was going on. Ja Morant makes $39 million a year. I saw a report right after he was suspended for a game. I think he was suspended on Saturday is when it was announced, and then he sat out yesterday, that teams are starting to call on Ja Morant. I mean, listen, I want Ja Morant to thrive in the NBA, but the dude's got to grow up. I mean, there's a portion for him that you got to ask the question, do you want Ja Morant as the leader of your NBA franchise? A couple of years ago, I'd have told you yes. Today, as I sit here, I tell you no, I don't. Teams are going to try to take advantage. He's got this year and then 2 years left on his contract. No player option, no nothing. I saw that. I was looking at it before the show started. What happened to Ja Morant? You know, you could start making the case for some other players around the league as well. But if I'm a good, let me give you an example. We were talking about good organizations I don't want to make a deal with. If I'm a team like the Miami Heat or whatever, just think about good organizations. Yeah, I'm calling on Ja Morant because he needs to be in a much better situation, but he's also got his own responsibility. Guy's got to grow up. I mean, I was just watching the game on Friday. I'm like, I think this guy is intentionally not trying to shoot the ball and was basically playing for the Lakers. Disappointing to see Ja Morant. Really is. Disappointing to see that that's kind of where he is in the league right now. And unfortunately, that's the taste in your mouth about Ja Morant is not the same that you had a couple years ago. And I hate that because I used to love watching him play. Okay, a couple other things around the NBA, and then we'll move to the weekend recap. All right, there is one update. It looks like Anthony Edwards is cleared for contact, so he's kind of slowly trying to make his return. I saw that Josh Hart of the Knicks is dealing with a nerve injury in his hand. They handed the Chicago Bulls their first loss of the season. That's the New York Knicks. The only other thing that I'm going to look at some scores for the NBA tonight, some games that are going on tonight. Bucks and the Pacers. So Miles Turner goes back to the Indiana Pacers. So I guess a little bit interesting, sort of a storyline there. Any other good games here? I saw Mavericks and the Rockets, but it's not that great of a game because I don't think the Mavs are good. Pistons and the Grizzlies, Kings and the Nuggets, and then Heat are taking on the Clippers. So go Heat. Go Heat in that one. All right, I'm going to take a look at some of the comments, and then we're going to get the weekend recap started. and we'll go from there. All right, let's see what we have here. Let's see. Imagine if you could have a personality like Gabe Vincent with the talent of Ja Morant. That'd be the face of the NBA. And I hate that I can't enjoy Ja Morant like I used to. You know, listen, let me give you guys another player, Zion Williamson. He dealt with his injuries, and a lot of times, like, bro, your conditioning is awful. You're not healthy. That's why you're dealing with all these lower body issues. You don't want to see Zion Williamson in big playoff games and all that. Like, there's individual players I would love to see shine. But there's a responsibility that you have to yourself. And if you can't hold yourself accountable, who is? All right. Ja Morant needs better people around him. Listen, I don't know Ja Morant's personal life. I'm not going to pretend like I do. I'm just saying that it would be really, really nice to see Ja Morant kind of get his act together again. Ja's undeserving of his career based on his actions, in my opinion. That sucks. I'm watching the game here. Ja is still the best guard, in my opinion, too athletic and skilled. Yeah, well, it doesn't mean anything if you can't stay on the floor or if you can't lead your team. I mean, if you're Memphis, you're not going to consider trading. I consider trading. Absolutely consider trading. No question about it. No question about it. Where's Memphis going anyways? I like Jaren Jackson Jr. I like some of the Zach Edey who they have. I like some of the other pieces that they have. I'm listening to offers. Somebody wants to call in on Ja Morant. I'm listening. Ja Morant's going to have to get on the right team. He's going to have to get with the right franchise, and then a lot of that is going to obviously have to be up to him of what he does from there. All right, don't be sorry. Everybody's busy. Don't worry. Beauty is even if you don't catch the show live, you can catch it recorded. Okay, let's get to the NBA or the NBA. Let's get to the weekend recap. All right, let me just real quick pump through a couple things, and then we'll talk World Series. NFL yesterday, nothing crazy. I think there's some teams that look. Here's the one thing that just kind of threw me off in the NFL yesterday. Detroit got a chance to get a big win and go 6-2, loses. Packers got a chance to get a win at home, loses to Carolina. Teams that had an opportunity to kind of grow, you just thought were going to be W's, lose at home. So I'm talking about lines. I'm obviously talking about the Green Bay Packers. Let's see what else we got here. Patriots are 7-2. Niners win again. They're 6-3. Colts Steelers was actually probably the best game as far as records go. Broncos are 7-2. Jags are 5-3. Did you guys see the 68-yard field goal by the Jaguars kicker? What? Rams are dominating. They're 6-2. Now they beat a bad Saints team. Chiefs Bills was supposed to be the best game, 28-21. Chiefs are 5-4. So that's a little bit odd. And the Seahawks are 6-2 as well. So anyways, throw that in there real quick, and then we'll start talking World Series here. College football, the only thing that really matters that everybody I know is waiting on Sunday morning to see is San Diego State ranked in the top 25 at 7-1? They're not. That's more important than any SEC team and any Big Ten team. Is San Diego State ranked? They're not. 7-1. I went to that game actually. Okay, let's talk World Series here real quick. Oh man, what a World Series! All right, if you're not a baseball fan, that's okay. But I'm going to dedicate the last however long I go here on the World Series, and I was telling a lot of people yesterday that I was going to hit on it today. I'm going to be as objective as I possibly can, which ain't easy. It's not easy, but I'm going to be objective. Honestly, I don't know what to tell you. It was one of the most exciting 7-game series I've ever watched in my life. To have a team like the Dodgers that were such heavy favorites in a complete dogfight against Toronto. Every game that went on, you're like, I think Toronto can beat them. That, wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world just based off of how both teams were playing. To have a game that went 18 innings to determine a very critical game 3. To see Toronto win 2 games in a row in LA to go up 3-2 with 2 left at home, you need one to win a World Series. To see a pitcher like Yoshinobu Yamamoto do what he did and basically be responsible for 3 of the 4 Dodger wins in the World Series. To get to Game 7, a winner take all, and go to extra innings to determine Game 7 of the World Series, it's as good of a World Series, I think, as we're ever going to watch. I mean, it's as good as a 7-game set I think anybody's ever going to watch. I'm going to look at it from both perspectives. Let me first throw in the Blue Jays perspective. That has to be the most devastating loss for a sports franchise. There's devastating losses. Don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously it happens all the time in sports. But to see how that went down for Toronto should have won that series. Toronto should have won that series. You can't get any more devastating than that. To be 2 outs away and give up a solo shot, not to Shohei, not to Freddie, not to Mookie, not to Will Smith, to Miguel Rojas. Wild. To have the bases loaded with 1 out. I watched this video yesterday, and I don't even have the video to share with you guys, but I'll just tell you. If you go back and watch that bottom of the 9th inning with the bases loaded, Yamamoto on the mound. I'll talk about Yamamoto in a second. If you go watch that bases loaded, and you see the runner at third, and you see how close he is to third base. I'm talking about up until there was actually contact made from the hitter, hit the ball to Rojas. I mean, they were saying that typically in that position, you're about anywhere from 10 to 12 feet off of the mound or off of third base. And he was about 7 feet from third base. And I guess the game plan for the Toronto Blue Jays was they don't want to hit into a double play or a liner. Let's say Muncy catches a liner and then they tag him out at third. They were avoiding that. And they said that when the pitch is actually thrown, you should now be closer to 15 feet off of third base. And the only reason why I'm breaking this down is because that's how close this series ended to Toronto winning the World Series. Contact made, hesitates for a quick second. There is no reason why that runner at third did not get home. Rojas got the ball, kind of, stumbled for a quick second. Will Smith's foot on the bag. I mean, you're talking literally inches and milliseconds of the difference of Toronto winning the World Series and the Dodgers winning the World Series. Just devastating from a Blue Jays perspective. Devastating. You may never get another opportunity where it's that close. But you never know. I mean, you've seen World Series where, was it Kansas City that lost to the Giants in kind of devastating fashion? The next year they won a World Series. Okay, let me play this out from the Dodgers perspective. Let me tell you why the Dodgers ended up winning the World Series. I had mentioned this, I think, early on in the playoffs. I said something to the effect of, the Dodgers are winning every close game. Toronto's got to win a close game. If they don't, they're going to lose the series. Every game Toronto won, there was a little bit of a cushion, right? Every deciding game that was close, that was coming down to the wire, Dodgers won all those. I believe, if I'm right, Toronto outscored the Dodgers. Their pitching was better. Outscored as in they had more runs. Totality. The Dodgers were more clutch. They were more clutch. 18th inning, Freddie Freeman walk-off. That's one game right there that you want to call it steal, this, whatever. A close game. They took it. The game 6, obviously how that game ended. Runners at second and third, nobody out for the Toronto Blue Jays. And the fly ball out, the getting doubled at second. Every close game and kind of critical situation, the Dodgers found a way. And this wasn't just even in the World Series. They had that against Philadelphia in a close game, a couple close games against Philadelphia. They had close games against the Milwaukee Brewers. I think game 1 was close, if I'm right. Every close game that the Dodgers played in the playoffs went the Dodgers' way. That's why they won the World Series. They were more clutch. Max Muncy hitting the solo shot to make it a 1-run game, that added this extra layer of pressure on Toronto. Obviously, Rojas hitting the solo, I'm sure the pitcher, the entire time he's pitching to Rojas, is looking at Shohei Ohtani in the batter's box. They were more clutch. And I think this is, it's kind of how I look at the Dodgers. As somebody who's a Padres fan that plays the Dodgers 13 games in the regular season and knows that if you got to play them in the postseason, it's like there is never a moment you can breathe with the Dodgers. Because if it's not Shohei, then it's Freddie. If it's not Freddie, then it's Mookie. I know Mookie struggled, but he's still a threat. If it's not Mookie, it's Will Smith. If it's not Will Smith, Teoscar will hit one. If it's not Teoscar, Muncy will hit one. If it's not Muncy, go down the list. You never have a moment to breathe. And I think for the Dodgers, they know that. Just stay in the game. And if it's close, it's coming down to the end, somebody's going to come through for their team. Everybody is a threat. And I did think that the Dodgers, like I said, they were more clutch. Whether you want to make a case Toronto deserved to win this, they didn't deserve, it doesn't matter. Who won? If you want to say that the Blue Jays choked, you can easily say the Blue Jays choked. I really don't actually question that at all. But it doesn't matter. You either came through or you didn't. Something Toronto did that I really liked? That I'm going to call them because it's my team. My dumbass Padres sometimes could take a page out of the book. You know what I liked about Toronto? How they approach the Dodgers? They know they're the underdogs. They know how talented the Dodgers are. They know how talented they are. They know everything that I just listed here. They know all that stuff. I thought how they approached each game with the Dodgers, they were wildly respectful. They weren't trying to make anything personal. But they also approached the game like, but we're also out to beat you. We're here to win. But we're not going to rub it in, or we're not going to get under your skin or any of that stuff, because frankly, that's just not smart. And we're not going to put ourselves in a position where we're giving you guys more fuel. It was like after every game, it was they just worried about themselves. They didn't worry about the opponent. Where I think, again, I'm just using my team as an example. I think you worry too much about the opponent and not about yourself. I got a lot of respect for Toronto, a ton of respect for Toronto. They made this one of the best series, and I didn't think it was going to be as good of a series as it was, and that it was going to go 7 and all that stuff, right? And why would you think that? I mean, just, look at obviously the talent that the Dodgers have, even with their bullpen, woes or whatever. But I think with all that, in mind, as much as I'd like to remember Toronto for they went up against the big boys and had a chance to win, they kind of choked. And if you're the Dodgers, you were more clutch. By the time when the dust settled, you were more clutch. And every single close game went the Dodgers' way. So that's my perspective on the World Series. It's tough for us Jays fans. I mean, 8 days. I put 8 days in as a Jays fan. I gave it everything I got. Nothing in return. Nothing. And, you know, if you're the Dodgers, you don't have to apologize to anybody. I mean, I think I got an issue with the way baseball is structured, but that's not a Dodgers problem. That's a baseball problem. And the Dodgers have been in the mix now for 12, 13 years in a row. Whether they deserve to win that World Series or they didn't, Jays, you know, almost choked this, that, whatever the case is, you better bury that team, because if you don't, they got a shot in every single game, and they proved that in Game 7. And players that weren't the big names were absolutely clutch, came through for them. I got one other thing I'm going to say real quick on Yamamoto. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, I don't – listen, I know baseball was played a lot different before, and I know guys used to go 9 innings all the time, and that's just how baseball was. I get all that. I understand that. But the way baseball is played today, to see Yamamoto as dominant as he was, he goes 2 complete games in a row. I know one of them was they have 1 complete game in the World Series. If I'm right here, I'm trying to think this in my head. 1 complete game in the World Series, but he had 2 complete games in a row. Then went 7 innings in his next start. That was for Game 6. Won them that game as well. So he's already won you 2 games now, especially because the Dodgers offensively were very inconsistent. Won you 2 games there. When they said Yamamoto was ready to go in the 19th inning, if there was a 19th inning in Game 3, when they said Yamamoto is warming up to go in Game 7, I'm like, what are you talking about? He just pitched. He just threw 96 pitches. What are you talking about? You can't throw Yamamoto in. He literally just pitched 7 hours ago. To see him do what he did, and I like that there was no kind of BS with World Series MVP. You know, it was such a no-brainer, but you just never know sometimes. I don't know, politics, Shohei, this, that. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. He won them the World Series. Yamamoto won them the World Series. I actually don't care what any other player did for the Dodgers. Genuinely, Yamamoto accounted for 3 wins. 3 wins. 2 as a starter, 1 out of the bullpen with the bases loaded and 1 out. Obviously came in when Blake Snell left a couple of guys on. So that's all I got. Hopefully that was a decent breakdown of the World Series there for everybody. And yeah. All right, let's take a look at a couple of comments here. I thought they, not we, they. We're dead in the water for real. There's nothing to think about. They were. 100% they were. They were dead in the water. But I'm gonna go back to this. Let me take you guys back to the 7th inning when I was I was contemplating flying to Toronto. I'm a Jays guy. You guys know that. I mean, I don't have to explain anything to you guys. You guys know my ties with Canada. My parents went from Iraq to Toronto to El Cajon. Okay, maybe they didn't, but let me take you guys to a quick moment in Game 7. Dodgers get the sacrifice fly to make it 3-2. Mookie Betts comes in. And there's a moment there where the very next inning, and I actually thought, I'm like, Toronto's now winning the game. They follow that up. The Dodgers make it just close enough again, so it's 3-2. They follow that up with, I think it was the number 9 batter maybe. I can't remember. But it was a walk and then a double, and they go up 4-2. I'm like, to have that as your response after the Dodgers made it a 1-run game, they're closing in now. So now they're up 4-2. You know what I didn't understand from Toronto? That makes really genuinely no sense to me. You got a man at second with nobody out. You don't want to just get the runner over to third? You don't want, I mean, that run now becomes, it's backbreaking for the Dodgers. If down 3-0, they come back and make it 3-2. And if you get out of that inning and it's 5-2 again, and everything you just did is wiped away and you're up 3 runs again, Toronto had some kind of interesting, their strategy. It's like there were times where I felt it was so critical to play a little small ball, and they went away from it. And I thought, I just thought they missed opportunities to just get a little bit of space. And then it was in the 8th inning, Muncy hitting that solo to make it 4-3. There's a big difference between 4-3 and 4-2. And the fact that now Shohei was going to get a shot at it as well, I think it's going through all these guys' mind. So there were a lot of kind of small moments there, which typically happens, obviously, in a big game that determine the game. All right, get a couple more here. Let's see right here. It was after 96 pitches as well. It was time. You know, I disagree with this. You said Jays were respectful till Game 7. I disagree. Yes. I don't remember the guy's name. I mean, you know, I've been when you're a Blue Jays fan for 8 days, it's really, really hard to memorize the entire lineup. It's not easy. You know, there's a lot of calculating. There's 26 guys on the roster. When he tried to throw himself into a pitch, yeah, that was a dumb play. And then he got mad that he got hit after. Why would the Dodgers try to hit when they're down? Why are they trying to put a runner on base? That doesn't make any sense. He was an idiot, but I don't think the team was. I thought the manager for the Rays I keep saying Rays. I think the manager for the Blue Jays was trying to kind of diffuse the situation. I think they were smart about how they did it. All right, let's get a couple more here. I played most of the series with the Lakers. That's a good example. That's a good comp here. Yeah, you get opportunities like that. I mean, they may never come back. They may never come back. It's the truth. They may never come back. You know, don't forget this too. I was thinking about this because that's the lens that I see baseball through. You guys remember last year, Padres and the Dodgers in Game 5? Who pitched that clinching game at Dodger Stadium? You guys remember who pitched it? Gave up a goose egg, no runs. Darvish was great for the Padres too, but he gave up 2 solos. I'd take giving up 2 solos. But do you know who pitched Game 5 in that winner take all? It's Yamamoto. I mean, that dude's been obviously unbelievable. Unbelievable. Let's see what else we got here. Manager of the Blue Jays turned into an AL after the series. Interviews were salty, saying they should have swept that. You know, I didn't read any of that. I didn't see any of that. So if that was some of it, then I'm not aware of it. Not aware of it. At least during the series, I thought they were, you know, respectful, everything else, all that stuff. All right, I think that's all we got. I think that's all we got for the day. It's a tough day for all us Jays. All right, my people, that was fun today. Vladimir Guerrero had a very nice series. He's a stud. Absolute stud. Let's see what we got here. Jimenez with that fake machismo after trying to get hit, then actually getting his. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you at all. I mean, that was idiotic. It was really dumb. You tried to get it, and then you got hit. Then you got mad. That kind of comes with the territory. That was the only moment, at least for me, where I kind of looked at that like, what is this guy doing? What is this guy doing? Now, I will tell you guys this. You know, I think baseball is flawed. No question about it. No question about it. I think baseball is flawed. I think people get I think they get I know Dodger fans do. The system in baseball has got to get cleaned up. It's not a Dodger problem. The Dodgers are just taking advantage of the system, and they have the resources to do it. But the game of baseball can't be this lopsided. And what I mean by lopsided is you're just going to eventually have to build something out that you got to equal the playing field a little bit here. You know, Yamamoto's 300 and change. Blake Snell was 160, 180, whatever he was. Glasnow is a $130. They got, obviously all the other contracts that are out there as well. Dodgers are taking advantage of the system. I hope the system gets fixed because I do think it's flawed. What do we got? One more season left, and then we'll see what happens as far as, obviously potentially a work stoppage or whatever it is. We'll see what they end up doing. So that's all I got, people. Hopefully that was an objective way of explaining the World Series. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you very much for being here. Phenomenal show. What do I got here? I forgot one of these. What chemistry? The 7-game chemistry. This is John that had a comment on the Lakers earlier. John, thank you very much for the super. I do think they have some chemistry here over 7 games. I really do. I like what the Lakers have looked like. Lakers Blazers coming up tonight. Don't forget about that. Weekend recap presented by the Wallace Firm, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Right after the Lakers are done with the Blazers, I'll be back doing the post-game show. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll see you tonight.